Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time, sponsored by the Mill Casino.
Thanks for the Mill Casino for sponsoring our real-time segments, and I get a chance to go down and meet those folks in person here in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that. Pro Escobedo from VIP Outdoors.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's good to see you. Most of the time I see you got a boat full of people in that massive North River that you got, and I'm like, hey, bro! And he just looks over and just kind of just gets back to doing what he's doing because everybody's waving at him out there. First things first, man. How you been?
Good, good. Well, let's back it up a little bit. Happy Father's Day.
Hey, happy Father's Day to you too, sir.
Absolutely, and
Very
everybody out there.
Now, I've had a chance to run across you a couple of times. Overall, though, how's it been for you up to this point? Are you still chasing salmon, or have you switched gears?
Yeah, you know, right now is an interesting time of year for me because I'm chasing salmon. That's kind of my focus because I'm home, right?
Sure.
And there's plenty of opportunity here right now.
Sure.
But I always got an eye on that ocean forecast.
I'm sure
And
you
when
do.
that ocean forecast lets us go, I bust over to the salt. And just a nice change up too. It's a chore for me to switch my boat out, you know,
Sure.
from all the gear.
Right.
But it's worth it, you know, it's worth it. So.
Are you taking clients out there, or you you are? When you do go out there, and maybe it's now June, you change gears. You're like, hey, ocean looks good. We're going to go out. What are you targeting first? Are you going after bottom fish, halibut, all of it? What do you do?
So what I do, especially with this time of year, and keep in mind below humbug, coho is going to open. Or what's the date today?
The 16th.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Okay. So we're open below humbug for coho. So what I do based on regulation is I go out, I target our ling cod and our bottom fish first. Okay. Once we have those wrapped up, what I do is I troll my way back in with the coho gear.
Okay.
And so the reason I do that is, number one, I know we're going to go rack up ling cod and bottom fish, you know, so it puts a smile on everyone's face right away.
Sure.
But more important, or not more importantly, but legally speaking, when you are targeting coho or a fish that requires like a barbless hook, like coho out in the ocean,
Sure.
if you have coho on the boat and then you go to bottom fishing, your barbs have to be pinched even when you're bottom fishing because you have a species on the boat, on your vessel that requires certain regulation.
That's a great tip all by itself. Honestly, if somebody would have called it and asked that question, I'm like, no, you're bottom fishing. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
All right.
If you have salmon on the boat and then you go to bottom fishing, your barbs have to be pinched.
Gotcha.
Okay. There's all sorts of rules with that.
Sure,
also
sure.
with guys that fish, say the South Jetty in Astoria, you're either outside in the ocean or you're on the inside in the river.
Gotcha.
So if you got salmon on the inside and the river's closed to salmon, there could be some problems there.
Yeah.
So that's what I do out in the salt at this time of year. We start out bottom fishing ling cod and then we troll our way back in and pick up some bonus little 5-6 pound coho.
You made it seem pretty easy, though. Just go out and just whack your ling cod and bottom fish. Is it that easy? I mean, is it?
You know, I shouldn't say it's that easy. I've been doing it long enough now. I know where to go. I know my depths. I know what they're looking for. Just like salmon fishing, when you get good at it, or kokanee, whatever you're targeting, you start to hone that a little bit, right?
Sure.
You hone that species, and so, is it a guarantee? No, but yes.
Good odds.
It's really dang good odds.
And now, there's no doubt VIP products have been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Copied so many times. You all know who you are. It is what it is. You guys are all in the same industry.
Yeah.
You do it to each other. But you just did a seminar over at Fisherman's Marine, which garnered several questions that came through us. And I'm like, well, you should have just gone to his seminar, right? Well, you can buy these products over at Fisherman's, of course, but these flies, let alone, I've done a lot of bottom fishing in my lifetime, and you know that I'm not a fan of the saltwater, but I do enjoy chasing those because I love to eat them. They are phenomenal eating. This is a very standard rig, a double fly, and then somebody might put something underneath here. It'll have hooks on it, whatever it might be. If it's like a hunk of lead with a hook, whatever it is.
Right.
But these are super popular. Is there a reason why you have double as opposed to triples? Obviously, you can't have that weight with a hook on it if you did. Or colors. I mean, is that something that people need to pay attention to when they go out to chase these things?
Colors, you want to pay attention. I mean, it really kind of comes down to the same thing. The pink and whites, the blue and whites, the purple blacks, the green and pinks, yellow, red. Those are kind of your basic saltwater combinations that you really don't ever got to move away from. Glow, I guess, glow and white. But with shrimp flies, you know, when I started fishing the salt, there's only so many saltwater products out there, you know.
And most of them aren't made very well at all.
Exactly, you know, and I'm thinking, it's like, man, we invest all this money into a saltwater boat, into saltwater rods, yet we're buying the cheapest piece of gear on the shelf to rely on landing anywhere from a 20-inch to 45-inch ling cod. And when something breaks, you're like, oh,
Dang it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, you know, there needs to be something better out there.
Yeah.
So that's what really drove me to start making bottom fishing gear. I just wanted better quality gear. So yeah, this is a standard setup in a certain way, but all of our terminal tackle that we have on our shrimp flies are stainless steel Mighty Mini swivels.
Okay.
So you never have to switch out the terminal tackle on them. We make two styles of shrimp flies, the double and the triple. The double's on 60 pound, the triple's on 80 pound. Here's what's cool about our shrimp flies. Like if you're in that deep stuff and you, for example, we could only, where I fish in Oregon, you're gonna have 3 hooks set up, right? So if you go with the jig with the hook down there on that triple shrimp fly, this is simple. We didn't hard tie our flies to our loops. We looped them so you could pull them off and put them back on.
So you can switch up what you're doing.
You can switch up what you want and what you don't want, right?
Okay.
Second, if you notice, we have marabou on our shrimp flies. Well, when you talk about marabou jigs in stillhead water and freshwater, right, you get that hair that's starting to oscillate in the water. That doesn't happen in salt water. In salt water, what happens with marabou is it clumps together. Clumps together like this, but then what it does, it creates a leaching action because it all flows together.
Is that because of the salt in the salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's because of the salt that makes it all stick together. So that's why we created it this way. Everything else is just a rigid fly that just kind of holds texture in the water. We did these collars here that have a little flash to them. On top of that, the material we used to this lends itself as a great landing pad to the ProCure Sense out there, to the gels, and you just put some on there to where you're not influencing the marabou on there.
Gotcha. Okay, so double rigs, triple rigs. You know, again, you did this seminar just recently. A lot of folks are now starting to get. I'm actually thinking about making a short run, because I got the boat that'll do it, no question. But if I did do something like that, I'd want to go bottom fishing, and I'd want to have the best gear. Lots of folks are asking that same question. I haven't done this before. What's the easiest way to go? So if somebody went to Fisherman's, they wanted to buy, you know, shrimp flies or other products that you have. You've got swim baits and other things for the saltwater. Would you say to start out with buying 5 or 10 of this, 5 or 10 of that, and then how would they actually be successful with them? Obviously, you got to know where you're going. You got to have the right equipment to get there. So all that stuff aside, what would you might recommend? A bunch of shrimp flies, something different?
When you're talking strictly tackle, like what's the best way to target them? Here's the way I would start. Just go with vertical jigging. Vertical jigging is going to be your best application. I'd go down and I'd pick up a combination of either 2 or 3 shrimp fly droppers. And then we also have one that's a bare hook. So all it is hooks on there. And then pick up some curly tails. And then you thread those curly tails on there, and then go with the bat jig, a diamond jig, a cod jig, a jig head with the swim bait where you do have a hook on that bottom part, and vertical jig everything. You're going to get 2 different conditions in the ocean. You're going to get ones where the current really doesn't want to move you or move you up to 2 miles an hour. And when it's doing that, that's when I gravitate towards the shrimp flies. When the current really starts pushing you out there and creates that 2+ mile per hour drift, number one, the guy on the motor's got to be pretty good, right? Or else you start scoping way out, right? And then you just got to adjust
keep your lines vertical.
Exactly. But when I get that extra movement, and especially when I got kiddos out there that maybe aren't the greatest at jigging, I don't want them hung up all the time, I'll go to our bare hooks and I'll put curly tails on there. That way that curly tail creates its own movement down there, and it's just like, hey kiddo, hold on to this, drop it down to so much on the line counter. And find that school of fish, and you know, when it comes to targeting those big old balls of fish we see down there, you can literally feel the fish hitting your line. What I always suggest, instead of running your gear right through the middle, because you will get frustrated, go, why are they not biting it? If you have a ball of fish, bring your gear up here, suspend it above them.
Oh, so they can just look up
They
and see
can look up and come get it. Yeah, you get better bites, number one, and you get better quality fish. You go bottom fishing, everyone wants to get down to the bottom of everything, right? You don't catch the quality of fish down here in that circumstance.
Well, that's another one that you just learned something. I've always, again, dropped right through them. Okay, there's a big ball of fish. And then you try, like you mentioned, try to target that, and nothing really good happens. All right, don't go anywhere, though. We're going to come back with Pro Escobedo from VIP Outdoors. I want to talk some salmon fishing because he actually brought in my favorite blade, and they're now in 4-packs. I've literally never seen that. Have you ever seen a 4-pack of blades? But that we'll talk about that with Pro when we come back from this break. Don't go anywhere.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive new Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.